commentators, Peter Clifford and, first of all, Chris Carter.
The competitors then for this third and final round on the grid for the start of this 18-lap race, and it promises to be an interesting and exciting race. Haslam on 30 points, and there is Ron looking cool, calm and collected as ever. This is his local track. He likes it. He lives, of course, at Langley Mill, just up the road in Nottinghamshire. Haslam then on 30 points. And yet, surprisingly, Ron was not the fastest in practice. That honour went to the man that's made the news for the past couple of days, Barry Sheene, who is neither shy nor retiring. So Barry Sheene in pole position, Ron Haslam second fastest, just a fifth of a second. And there's Barry having a chat with Ron before the start of the race. Third fastest, Rob McElhenney, and just half a second separates Sheene, Haslam and McElhenney. Completing the front row of the grid is Mick Grant on the Suzuki and the young Australian Paul Lewis on another Suzuki. And Sheene has a word with Rob McElhenney just a few seconds before the off then. Front row of the grid, Sheene, Haslam, McElhenney, Grant, Lewis. And second row of the grid, Marshall, Parrish, Sal and Mitchell.
And we saw a second ago, we saw Barry Sheene and Ron Haslam both with bits of tape over their nose and up against the mouthpiece of their helmets. That's so that when they breathe heavily of the exertion of the first laps of the race, they don't mist up their visors and ruin their vision.
Well, a quick look at the points table before they get away in this 18-lapper. Haslam on 30 points, Gardner on 24, and it looks as if they're going to have another warming-up lap. So, obviously, the riders have asked for a warm-up. It is very cold here today, Peter.
Yes, we saw Barry talking to Ron and the other guys. I'm sure he was getting together with them to agree to another warm-up because of the cold conditions. They really have to work these front and rear tyres so that they get up to a sticky, hot working temperature to provide the grip they need to get the power and braking performance onto the road. Otherwise, it'd be very, very dangerous indeed.
Ron Haslam, the man who's won the previous two rounds of this championship series. Wayne Gardner, who's followed in home on both times, trails by 6 points at the moment. And joint third, Roger Marshall and Keith Ewan. Well, Keith Ewan not having the very best of seasons on the SDC Honda, but Keith says he feels a little bit more in the mood for racing at the moment, and let's hope things begin to go better for the very likeable Wollerton, Northamptonshire rider. Barry Sheene in the picture, and what a morale booster for Barry. Fastest in practice. Sheene, of course, winning at Scarborough last weekend, his first win in more than 2 years.
And the British interest in Barry Sheene's motorcycle, it may be a Japanese Suzuki engine, but the frame is made by the Harris Performance Products in Hartford. So number 7 there, coming into the chicane. And Barry's pointing to something on the grid. He obviously thinks there's some oil or some problem, something slippery, pointing to the marshals that there's something at the chicane there.
So let's hope whatever the problem is that Barry's spotted is cleared up, and I'm sure it will be. The marshalling, the officials here, the Pathfinders and Derby Motor Club, very efficient, very experienced folk. So we wait now for the start of this race. A second warm-up lap completed, and Sheene, as I say, in pole position, winning that race at Scarborough last weekend, and he won the Gold Cup in fine style. It was good to see Sheene in such devastating form. But of course, Ron Haslam has been Britain's best man at the Grand Prix all season. Some excellent rides. Sadly, no wins to show for it all, but Ron has been there amongst the leaders at almost every one of the Grand Prix. He finished 5th in the points table, and certainly Haslam, with his eye on the Grand Prix next year, wants to clinch the title here to help him in his search for sponsorship. A reminder then, Sheene in pole position, Haslam next to him, McElhenney, Sheene's teammates in the Heron Suzuki, Mick Grant on another Suzuki, and Paul Lewis, a privateer, and away they go, and it's Haslam with a superb start, but Sheene is trying, you can see him on the tank, and Haslam moves over to the right-hand side of the track, and Haslam is going to lead with Sheen in second place. McKelney goes round the outside, so Rob McKelney there in the picture. Wayne Gardner's fourth, so that really is an excellent start for the men in contention. Haslam, the man who leads the championship, is the man in front. Barry Sheen is in second place, Rob McKelney is third, and Wayne Gardner, who took a tumble in practice this morning, and Sheen goes through. Sheen has taken the lead. Barry Sheen is in front. Ron Haslam has got a fight on his hands, but of course Haslam doesn't have to win the title. And sad news is that poor old Roger Burnett with the nicer Suzuki had a problem at the start and has failed to make the race. The young man who's doing so well in the European Championships. This man, though, has done it all in the Grand Prix. And the man that I thought was Wayne Gardner was, in fact, Roger Marshall, I think, Peter.
Yes, it's Wayne Gardner's back in 7th place, and that's Roger Marshall in 4th behind McKelney, with Sheen leading and Haslam 2nd as they break into the chicane. And that's cement dust lying on the track. Sheen pointed out a slippery patch, and the marshals have put the cement dust to dry it up.
The end of the first lap with Sheen leading from Haslam and McKelney, and Haslam going for the inside line. Sheen traditionally goes wide, he goes across the front of Haslam. Sheen in command, Haslam second, McKelney third, Paul Lewis is up to fourth. Roger Marshall is now in 5th place. In 6th spot is Mick Grant, and in 7th position is number 8, Wayne Gardner, who qualified down in 21st place, and that was, of course, after taking a tumble and having the second machine seized during the opening practice session. Sheen, the race leader. This is the second of 18 laps. And Sheen, of course, vigorously denying that this will be his last race. Haslam second, McKelney third. Some of the best riders in Europe in action here today. Sheen and Haslam. Sheen, of course, finishing 6th in the World Championship table behind Haslam. Haslam 2nd, McKelney 3rd, Lewis is 4th. In 5th place, Mick Grant.
And Haslam takes the lead.
In fact, Sheen goes through on the inside. A remarkable piece of riding, and these two men, great friends as well as great rivals. Barry, a regular visitor into the Haslam motorhome this year on the Grand Prix Trail. Sheen then battling away with Haslam. And of course, Haslam in this position would collect 12 more points. He's got a 6-point lead over Gardner at the moment, so Haslam still very much on target to clinch the World of Sport Challenge. Sheen, 34 years of age on September the 11th. Haslam, 28 years old. And Rob McKelney, Paul Lewis, Roger Marshall, Mick Grant. And behind Mick Grant, of course, was Wayne Gardner. And another change, because Haslam has gone in front. Out breaks Barry Sheen. And this is the end of the 3rd lap. 15 more laps to go. Haslam in front, Sheen 2nd, McKelney 3rd. And Rob McKelney, of course, the man in 3rd place, is the young man that the Heron Suzuki concern believes is the man that will take over where Sheen left off.
And this bike, very exciting, number 19. It's the aluminium monocoque frame, produced by the Steve Begaigian Heron in England. It's a aluminium honeycomb with aluminium sheets either side. A real mainstay development in number 19, written by Rob McElnay.
And Sheen pressurising Haslam. There's McKelney in 3rd spot. And Sheen right in the tyre tracks of Haslam. Haslam skimming the ground as they come out of McLean's down the back straight underneath the Dunlop Bridge into the chicane again. They'll have completed 4 laps this time.
Haslam making tremendous use of the Works 3-cylinder Honda. That's a buck of Works machines run by the factory from Japan.
And Gardner is up into 4th place. Wayne Gardner is 4th, and he's just 4 seconds behind Ron Haslam. Gardner, who took a tumble at San Marino in practice,